Hello, everyone. Hello, friends and colleagues. My name is Modupe Kachi, and I am so happy to welcome you to the Organ House Concert and Seminar Series. The series is brought to you from the music department of the Mountaintop University, which we affectionately call the Organ House. This is a safe and welcoming space for all of us, scholars, composers, musicians, performers, educators, anyone who loves music, to explore, create, and share. We're all about diving deep into music research and performance, with a special focus on the incredible musical and cultural heritage of Nigeria and Africa. It's a place where we can champion new ideas and critical approaches to music that are both locally relevant and globally resonant. I'd like you to think of this place, as usual, as a safe space for all of our musical passions. Here we can freely share ideas, ask questions, and make suggestions. I am very excited to see the amazing things that we'll be creating together. And on this note, I would like to invite you all to communicate with us on all our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, we are on X, formerly known as Twitter, and we are on YouTube most especially. I would like to especially invite you to YouTube because we have curated very interesting conversations for your learning and your listening pleasure. So please engage with us on all our social media platforms, especially on YouTube, and the links will be put in the chat as we speak. And for our presentation today on this series of the Organ House Concert and Seminar Series, we will be talking about SymphoMe, a new frontier of music pedagogy, perspectives on AI, multimodal feedback, and creative practice. In this presentation, our presenter, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu Ezinmadu, a music educator, classical pianist, and EdTech entrepreneur, explores the intersection of music education, digital technology, and artificial intelligence through the lens of SymphoMe, a UK-based EdTech platform. He highlights SymphoMe's research-led development process, including its patent-pending multimodal music teaching technology, collaborations with global music bodies, and the role of data-driven personalization in improving learning outcomes, focusing on how AI, multimodal feedback systems, and licensed digital learning materials are reshaping the possibilities of music teaching and learning in real time. Mr. Ezinmadu draws on his experience as a music scholar, studying piano at the Muson School of Music and the University of Edinburgh, and as a founder of a technology venture. Ultimately, he considers what the future of music education may look like as creative practice meets intelligent technology. I would like us to please join me as I welcome our presenter for today, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu Ezinmadu. If you're there, please unmute your microphone and let's see your face.
Hello, I am here. It's a pleasure to join you all today.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of us on the Organ House Concert and Seminar Series today. You're most welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And just a bit of information on our presenter. Our presenter, as I said before, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu Ezinmadu, is a music educator, classical pianist. For those of us who were on the line, as we showed you a clip of him playing that fantastic piece by Ayorinde, that's Egun Rhapsodies, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you would know how fantastic Mr. Ezinmadu is. He's a classical pianist and EdTech entrepreneur. He's the founder and CEO of SymphoMe, a UK-based music education technology company developing AI-powered tools that transform how musicians learn, practice, and teach. A graduate of the University of Edinburgh, where he studied music as a MasterCard Foundation scholar, he has led SymphoMe from initial research through to commercialization, delivering complex R&D projects, including a Scottish enterprise SMART grant, and developing the company's first patent-pending multimodal music research, music teaching technology. With professional experience across performance, music education, and technology, Ifeanyi's work centers on bridging artistry and innovation to make high-quality music education more accessible globally. He has completed executive training with Sony Music UK and Innovate UK, and continues to build SymphoMe as one of the emerging leaders in AI-driven music learning. So I will be handing over the mic to him in a short while. But before I do that, I would like to remind our viewers and our listeners that as the presentation is going on, you will have questions, you will have comments or suggestions that you would want to make at the end of the presentation. Please write them down so that you don't lose trend of your thoughts, as well as you enjoy the presentation as it goes on. So, Mr. Ifeanyi, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. So just before I share my screen and walk through my deck, I think the big question a lot of people wonder, particularly musicians, is like, oh, is SymphoMe building AI tools to replace music educators? And it's absolutely not. Our goal is to complement what is already existing, what we are already doing, because there is actually a significant upward trend towards learning from the comfort of your house, and not just in-person tuition anymore. But technology has actually not caught up with that. I mean, the pandemic actually showed the need for something like that, and you can save on time and energy and everything just teaching from your studio, right? However, the audio stream, let's use Zoom, for example, or many other platforms out there, is optimized for how you look as opposed to how you sound, So all of that are things we considered like, that's a bit of AI. But if we even go further down the line to after the lesson, what happens? We're just expected to practice. Okay, what does practice mean? Particularly for beginner musicians, not just children. If you don't know what you're practicing or can't tell the right from wrong, then it's just an assumption, it's a guesswork, right? So what we try to do also is to leverage artificial intelligence, specifically music information retrieval as a subset of that, because AI is now a buzzword everyone talks about, right? And it's like, okay, what's the cutting edge technology? How can we push that a bit further? And I would share what SymphoMe is doing and where we are at today. We're still developing a lot of cool tools, and I hope you get to ask me a lot more, and I'll be able to share more either on the technical side or on the business side. I would go on to share my deck now. Okay, welcome to SymphoMe, where musicians learn, share, and earn. I must say this is a new strategy. When we started SymphoMe initially, it was so we curate all the learning resources in-house and consumers just consume that. But now we're pivoting into a platform where any educator anywhere in the world can host their own courses and then support their students wherever in the world also, and giving that holistic and robust music education experience. And most importantly, ensuring that the creators and the musicians in this case do earn as they do that with us. Okay, so a bit about the team. Myself, you've heard a bit about me. At the moment, I'm the product manager, the founder and CEO, of course, but I lead the overall project, and you will learn why that is the case today. Not just because I'm a classical pianist, that's nice, right? But I've also done some things in business. The university degree was really research driven as opposed to performance, which is something I did not particularly say I enjoyed in the early days of my university, but actually significantly shaped what I'm doing at SymphoMe now to be able to have that research driven innovation. And that really does matter because for you to really push the boundary of technology, it has to be driven by research. So I think I dropped the art or reduced that side of performance to now applying my theoretical and practical knowledge, sitting with AI engineers day in, day out, like, what can we do better? So that's me, product manager. We've got a CTO, we've got Alfredo, senior AI engineers, and these are all professionals in the field coming on board with me to like build something more. And I'll go straight to my journey to SymphoMe because I think it all started at Muson, or even prior to Muson, actually. This is, let's say, 16, 17 years ago, when I wanted to take piano lesson. Well, I had to go for the cheapest piano tutor around just because I could not afford anything more than that. That definitely impacted my learning pace to a great extent. I was like, things could be better. Well, I got a partial funding to the basic school at Muson for about 6 months. And I was like, whoa, wow, there is classical piano. There is so many exciting things out there. That scholarship was cut off after a period. And I began to crave for more. Although I wanted to study computer science growing up, it was more like, oh, music is now calling me in. So I went back to Muson after high school in 2015. I was admitted to the diploma program and then studied under Marion Akpata, and just looking at how much there is to talk about in music education. And when I say music education in this case, I was not even thinking of technology. It was more like, oh, how can we teach better? What are we doing already that we can innovate? And then after that program, I think I might still be the youngest tutor Muson then retained to like teach. So Marion called me back to like, oh, I've seen you do a bit of teaching work. Why not come and teach in the basic school? So that was where the journey started in terms of education and teaching. Then I got a MasterCard Foundation scholarship to go to the University of Edinburgh to study music. Well, I was sent to study music, but my curiosity for business, I mean, it's just one thing. I've seen my dad walk through his own business, even if that business did not succeed. It just made me curious, like what makes a business succeed? And this is a big component of what I'm doing at SymphoMe, and I'll tell you why all of this makes sense. So the music part was there. I was curious about business. Although I was studying music every summer, I was either in an investment firm or a private equity firm doing something investment or business related. I was always going for business idea competitions, which I never won any throughout my university, but all of that led to the learning I apply into SymphoMe. Then the tech. Remember I said I've always been passionate about tech. I actually wanted to study computer science as a child. So all of that came together at the point of graduation from Edinburgh. Just like, oh, I've got an amazing job offer from one of the investment firm where I intend, one of the leading investment firms in the world. So it's more like take this job and you're set for life, to be honest. You just need to show up and do what you're asked to do, right? But I think it dawned on me on my graduation day, like, am I just driven by money, which is a good thing? I don't even have money, but am I just driven by money or purpose? Like, do I want to show up every day feeling like, yes, this is something I'm excited. This sparks every bit of me. And that was where SymphoMe started from. It was more like, actually, I see a gap in the music education space. Can we fill that gap? What happens after a lesson? Like, is there a way we can support students better? Can AI, can tech, not even AI, now just do something there? Well, I would share a bit more about that. And then one side of that market research is then discovering, like, wait a minute, there is a growing music education, online music education industry, one that is estimated to reach about 73 billion in 2033. That is significant. And we don't even think about these things like outright, like, oh, wait a minute, this is music education online that big. It is actually big, and 17% annual growth is a massive thing in any industry. So I think that really sparked my interest. Like, oh, wait a minute, there is something here. Not just me saying I'm passionate about this. A lot of other companies out there are actually beginning to think in terms of how can we advance technology for online learning. And as I said earlier, the pandemic then made that a lot more obvious. Like, yes, there is something here. So we are not the first to go in this direction. There are so many players on the market. We're even early down that line. But for us also, it's like, how can we push beyond what is currently available? The state of the art. So let's go to the problem. This is the new strategy for SymphoMe, as I was saying. Millions of musicians teach, post, inspire online. And I mean, it's great. The presenter is someone I've known growing up in Nigeria, and that's Mrs. Dupege, and people of this sort do publish stuff online, and so many musicians, just like you and I, do teach, do inspire. But how do you earn in that process? How do you earn in that pipeline? Well, with over 9 billion users doing all of this, posting daily, there is still zero income, except you've got a significant following, and even the ratio of your following and the impact you're having online. So how much lands in your bank account, even from YouTube, does not really match up, and it's not even geared for music education. It's more like a streaming platform. You just talk at people. What happens? Where is the other side of the equation where that learning is holistic enough, and the big question for us is, what if musicians could teach, grow their community, and anywhere, anytime, with AI-powered tools for music education? So from wherever platform you're getting your students from or your followings in there, can we centralize it? You don't need to go out to look for your scores. Can we bring publishers on board to give you all the scores? Can we get music on board? Actually, at the moment, if you record something that sounds like a popular track or something already published, Sony, Universal, or so will ask for it to be taken down from YouTube. That's just how it is. Or you split the revenue that you're not even getting a lot of. So we're like, can we bring all parties on board so that educators can teach freely, having all the resources they need to do that in one platform? And on the student side, can we support the learning when they are not with a teacher with advanced technology such as artificial intelligence? Well, that's SymphoMe. Really, that's really what we've been building over the last 2 years, built for music education, powered by AI. These are all the things we we founded, or the premise of SymphoMe in the early days, and this is where we are going now. But audio AI agent, what does that mean? It means that today with SymphoMe, for piano only, we've created the most intelligent AI music tutor that can listen to a beginner up to about grade 4 level piano and offer feedback like a human tutor. That is significant. And the main reason is because, let me just move forward a bit and I'll come back to that slide. Even with teachers and online courses, over 80% of the learning experience for any musician happens independently. It happens in your practice time. And remember, for beginners, and I try not to say children, for beginners, without meaningful feedback, it just leads to frustration and slow progress. And there is a report by ABRSM, which came out early this year, I think February, the music making report. Please go read that report. And it even goes on to say, like, a lot of people are dropping off like 2 years into taking music education lesson. We then equate that into money. It's costing an individual teacher, at least in the UK, around 10 to 15,000 pounds lost revenue. In Nigeria, I believe that's around 22 million naira, thereabout. Yeah, that is significant for, and that's just looking at even 3 to 5 students in there. We're like, can we bridge that gap? Can you support your student for longer? If people pick up gaming, from childhood and play games till they are much older? Why can't people enjoy the art of learning music and see that through, not just a short 6 month course or a short 3 month course, or stop and feel frustrated and drop off? We want to bridge that gap. So I'll come back to that again. And what we've done, we secured a license from ABRSM, which is the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, to be able to prepare students within SymphoMe for the music theory exam from grade 1 to 5. Well, that was where we were before. Now we've opened that resources down for any educator anywhere to leverage for their students and use that material. So over 2,000 templates of musical concepts that are being used today in SymphoMe. In terms of licensed music library, we're currently in conversations with the like of Oxford University Press, Universal Music, to bring your popular music into SymphoMe. That has not happened yet, but we are at the very last stage of that. So probably when you check SymphoMe in Q1 next year, you would see a lot more in terms of music library and the real-time feedback, which is where the AI sits. I would come back to this demo. I'll play that for you. But then with this new strategy going on from January is that a tutor can then take one-to-one bookings on SymphoMe, and we're optimizing for audio, not just how you look. Remember the analogy of Zoom I talked about, and there is a lot to do. The audio signal processing is not as easy as a lot of people think, and I'm sure there are scholars here who might be aware of the state of the art in this field. But audio signal processing, for it to be as pristine, for it to be as clear as we want it, because I mean, remember, music is all about articulation, it's about dynamics. So for that to come across clearly on the other side of the tech, there is quite some R&D work to be done, research and development to be done. Then general software engineering stuff we're building for educators, from course builders, global monetization to inbound marketing from whichever platform. All of that is in the pipeline at the moment, coming out again January 2026. So let's go into the demo of SymphoMe AI, the world's most intelligent AI music teacher. And just to break it down again, the whole idea is there is an automatic music transcription model, AMT model, which is an AI model. And we take that, we listen to the audio you are playing from your phone. You don't need to connect any cable to your phone or your laptop. We listen to what you are playing and then offer you feedback. So that's performance you send. We can tell if the mistake is in the right hand or in the left hand. That is a technical challenge in itself, because remember, the computer or your device is not seeing you. There is no computer vision element to that just yet. So just based on the audio, which you would think, yeah, you should be able to say that because we think as musicians, right? But actually teaching a system to think like a musician is actually a lot more difficult. But what we do there is then separate the ends and then being able to isolate the feedback and be more specific and granular. Oh, was it a staccato error? Was it with the legato? Is it just pitch? Is it rhythm? Can I then speak back? Oh, which part should I focus on? The phrase starting on bar 3 or bar 5. That's all what we've been working on this model. And that's where everything I was saying earlier about my background actually comes in there. That journey of studying piano, which is very good, because perhaps if I was much older, much older educators kind of have a way to approach things, but I grew up with technology in there, which gives an unfair advantage, not because you need to know 1,000 things that work in music education, but just watching that journey not so long ago, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know the frustration. I feel the pain of a beginner, and I can articulate that clearly to the technical team and then make it make sense on the business side of things, So back here again, I will play this demo quickly. I think I actually put it up on the website. Let me just go. And if you go to symphome.com, you will actually see the demo, but I'll play it here now. I don't know if you can hear the audio, but you can just read it if you can't.
Yes, we
Okay.
Let's try it. I'll play a piano piece and get feedback on my performance.
Analyzing your performance now. Great job. I really enjoyed listening to that. Let's work on a couple of things together. In bar 4, your right hand rhythm wasn't quite steady. And in bar 6, your left hand played a C natural instead of a C sharp in the C sharp minor chord. Which of these would you like to go over first?
Before I continue playing that demo, it is very important what has happened in the last 5 seconds here, because it's not just telling you the notes, the pitch, which is what a lot of our competitors do, which is the AMT level, the automatic music transcription level. I can just say, oh, this is B flat, A flat. There is no context to the music. There is no context to the key signature. There is no context to the phrase. It's just at the pitch level. What we've designed here will go on to actually describe things in the context of the music. And if you say it was saying something about the C in the C sharp minor chord or so, C minor chord, I believe. That should be it. Yeah. It's taking context, like the way a music teacher would think, and then it's also helping the students, which leads to, oh, what is a C minor chord, or what exactly is that? That sparks curiosity, that sparks an intelligent or holistic music education at every stage of that. Not just saying, oh, you missed the C, tick or cross, yes or no, which is a binary solution that is flooded on the market today. As I said, we are not the first guys on the market to do something like this, but what we are trying to do is to push beyond the current state of art. And one last bit of that, which it will go on to, is the chat feature. For the first time, you are then able to converse with an AI model that understands the context of music. Now, I know you might have seen the likes of Suno and Audio, where you're able to generate music. Music generation is a completely different field, For us, is for music education, music information retrieval for the purposes of education. With SymphoMe, you can have that conversation, which is what this demo would go on to right now.
Let's go over the rhythm in bar 4. Any tips?
Sure, try practicing slowly with a metronome. I can also play back the correct rhythm from the phrase starting at bar 3, so you can compare.
Never mind. Thank you.
So that's particularly significant because you could also see it went on to mentioning the phrase. You can go on and try quite a number of solutions. I try not to mention my competitors on here, but you can go on and try a number of solutions. It is just plain. There is no depth to it in terms of the quality of music education. And we want to ensure that if you're studying with some of the best piano teachers around, right, when you go home and you're leveraging technology, we're not destroying the work of quality education that you've had with a great tutor, So we want to extend that. So that's why I said at the start, we're not even replacing it. It's to complement that, so the learning does not stop in the classroom. And if you're like me, who 15, 16 years ago could not even afford piano tuition, right, from a good piano tutor, SymphoMe then stands in the gap there, and you can leverage that to a great extent to get from 0 to 1. Thereafter, as we know, you need to engage a practicing musician or someone in the field, a professional in there to really help you unlock your musicianship, which is conflicting for me as the CEO of a music tech company to say, but I'm not just saying that from a technical point of view. I'm saying that from a music scholar point of view also. So music educators, music scholars still play a key role in shaping that musicianship beyond what any technology can do. Well, and I would go on. So what have we done at SymphoMe? I know I've spoken a lot around the tech and patent pending and all sorts. That is great, but where are we at? We started this journey 2 years and about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So we've soft launched the product. It's generating revenue. Primarily our target at the moment is the UK, but we are beginning to look out into other markets. As I said, this is a new strategy we're bringing forward from Q1. We've raised investment from angel investors, secured a smart grant. This is significant for us, not the money, but more so the validation that we are doing something right, because this is a very competitive grant system in the UK or across Scotland, to be specific. So for us to even have secured that says a lot about the technical difficulties we're trying to overcome. And then we went on to joining the Sony Music Accelerator program as one of the top 10 deep tech startups in the creative sector in the UK. Also one of 5 global finalists of the Global EdTech Startup Competition, with special track for music education, which is interesting because as at the point we got there, we were the only pre-trading company. So we had a great idea, great tech, but we're not even selling anything to any customer. In comparison to our competitors, who were also on the same track, the other 4 were farther along the line, have been around for quite a while than us. But just to say, we're doing something unique at SymphoMe. Went on to earning the license from ABRSM, which I already talked about, and pending licensing discussion on the way with the likes of Universal, Sony, Oxford University Press, to mention a few. And I just like to look at SymphoMe in pictures. This is SymphoMe in the classroom, and that is with the old strategy. We still aim to sell to schools ultimately, but the vision is bigger, better, more defined, that's even beyond the classroom for children, which I try in my presentation not to say children, but beginner musician, at whichever age we want to cater to that. So SymphoMe that is live today still tie into that music theory, ABRSM side of things. Well, you've got the SymphoMe AI also to leverage, but with this new strategy, any educator anywhere, and I'm hoping to come down to Nigeria so I could get the best of best onto the platform, and you could teach your students in Canada, in Australia, wherever they are, with the same quality of music education, And this is the team in the early days. This is me. And this is interesting because when we talk about AI, we kind of see it as this grand thing. Indeed, it is grand because it is technically challenging, but it starts with a data set, So you need to build quality data. So what we're doing here was a project for a guitar data set. And this is to improve the state of the art for automatic music transcription. Remember I said at the beginning, for the system to be able to understand what you're playing at all, you need to train it to understand context of music. So this was me bringing practicing musicians into the room with us, recording them, and then we go on to annotate that data. So it's not just recording because anybody can do that. It's to carefully annotate that data and prime it or prepare it well enough that the AI engineers can use it. So there is a lot of process to that. And I think in Nigeria, I say this carefully, but we sometimes are mostly on the consuming side of stuff, of technology like this. We consume most of the tech as opposed to building ground up. So I think for me there it was like, can I and a few others actually change that narrative that we actually have what it takes just based on the sheer amount of talent, both from a technical side, from a music side. We've got what it takes to build global tech in the music industry for the world. And it does not matter if you're a musician, an orchestra conductor, you have something to contribute in the global tech ecosystem, And moving on to me at the Sony Accelerator, this was the final pitch day. So Convert Challenge, which is a competition across Scotland for innovative tech startup. And I would end on this picture, and this is significant for us because it sounds like we've got everything figured out. Look at this picture and look at this stand. It's empty and bare. That was us in January this year, where we exhibited in London, our first public expo. That did not go so great. It went well in terms of people got to know about us, but you can see like this is really a startup trying to survive, But the vision was clear that further down the line, about 8 months later on, which is just last month, SymphoMe exhibited with SymphoMe AI actually in Shanghai. I could not make the trip, but my colleagues actually went on to exhibit SymphoMe, and that says a lot. Right next in the UK pavilion was Rock School, ABRSM, Trinity College of Music, and then there is SymphoMe. That says a lot about what we are trying to do. We are the new kid on the block, but we are certainly not thinking in the same direction like many others before us have. We are trying to innovate that space and complement and also call educators in as much as possible. So in as much as we're looking at it from a technical point of view, it's like, where is music education going? What is happening in that space? What are educators using today? How can we make that experience seamless, that you don't even think about AI because the tools are AI driven, not in the way you think about it. And I'll wrap up with this. Let me just share my screen again. Let me go back here 1 second. This is the website. You can go on there, symphome.com. And if you go to the teacher side of things, because this audience, I believe you all are music scholars to a great extent. And if you are not, you can go to the other side of the website. But on the teacher side, you can see what we offer tutors. And I will just run you through what that looks like at the moment. So this is what the classic dashboard looks like in SymphoMe for educators. I can be like, I'm teaching a class on the orchestra. I can share videos with them straight up. Let me go on to something
is
else.
Slightly bigger than the violin, producing a warmer sound. It mainly uses the alto clef and the slowest note, clef. And the slowest note is the string instruments produce.
This is something that can be shared. Actually, tutors are using it within the classroom today to share with their students and then go on with supporting exercises, that we've created for them. So you don't have to spend time doing all of that. All the manual, all the time that's supposed to be used teaching and prepping high-level stuff. We found a lot of music educators doing the groundwork, which is really unnecessary. So we've done a lot of that in SymphoMe, and we hope a lot of educators can then leverage that, which they're already doing in different scenarios. But I'll move on from that to the library, and I'll be wrapping up in about 2-3 minutes. So I'll move on from that to the library, and I would go, let me say, this is a standard piece. I've got my piano there. I could play it, but I would not do that right now. I can play through the piece, record, play back the audio, listen to what it should sound like, and submit it to the AI model for assessment. Then have that two-way conversation in there. This is the web app, and this is a library we are definitely going to extend. At the moment, it's just classical music, but from pop to rock to R&B to blues, whatever, name it, we're bringing publishers on board to really help us unlock that market. You don't even think of, what are the chord changes? In one click of a button, we have a chord algorithm already that can give you all the chords and the music. We can go on to source separation. Okay, I want to listen to just the bass line of that music. Can I just click one button that does that immediately? And to be honest, on the market, there are a lot of fragmented tools, but what we pride ourselves to do is to bring everything into one platform, So these are things I hope you can go explore yourself, and I'll be happy to share to share a bit more on that, and I think that's me done. I'll be able to take questions. I know I've said a lot from the music side, from the business side, from the tech side, just to keep it open-ended. But I'm more than happy to dive deeper into any section at all you want to know more about.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu. In fact, I can't tell you, I listened, I followed through. This was such an interesting presentation. I'm sure that, see, we're getting comments already. This is so amazing. I'm sure you must have seen the claps and the flowers that some of our viewers were giving you. Yeah, because music education is such a big deal, especially for us educators, right? I remember growing up, music education was it for me. That was life, know. And now I don't know how it's going. And I feel like here in Nigeria, we haven't really leveraged so much on technology, on AI, and SymphoMe just gives us this practical solution, so to speak. So thank you so much for the work you have put into this. Thank you for sharing this with us. And I'm sure that our viewers have questions. In fact, I'm surprised that I'm not seeing any hands up yet, because I know some of us on the call are music educators par excellence. So I'm sure that questions are coming up. So thank you so much for the presentation. You made it very interesting. You broke it down, and I'm sure that we're eager to ask our questions. So, okay, let me throw this open to everyone now. So listeners, viewers, music enthusiasts on the call, you have heard Mr. Ifeanyichukwu's presentation. And if you have questions, please, this is the time for us to ask our questions. This is time for us to interact. If you have any suggestions, if you have any thoughts on SymphoMe and how it will be relevant to us here in this part of the world, please ask your questions and share your thoughts now. The floor is open to everyone. Okay, so I have a couple of questions to ask.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I'm a voice teacher.
Yeah.
Right. I don't teach in a classroom, in a school setting, so to speak. I'm a one-on-one person. But for those of us who are voice teachers and those who teach not in a classroom, for both who teach in classrooms and not in classrooms, who do one-on-one voice teaching, I didn't see anything on voice. I don't know, maybe I missed it. I didn't see anything on voice on your platform, on the teachers section of the platform. So is that something that you are thinking about imputing, right? Or it can't be an oversight. I'm sure you're still working towards it, but is that something that you are thinking about, including?
It is something we're thinking about. Interestingly, we were engaged by a German company to, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. we were engaged by a German company to look into voice, which we did a bit of work on for about a month for them. But I think on the education side of things, on the technical side, it is possible. There is still quite a lot of work to do in that side of things if we want to offer feedback when a singer is singing. There is quite a lot. But on the education side of things, it was not just scalable for us to do that in-house. Remember, I said the old strategy was for us to own everything. So you don't need anybody, just come on SymphoMe, you get everything. But that was not moving at the speed we wanted to move. That was not very inclusive, and that's why we started with music theory, then we went to piano. It's just going to slow things down. We might get to voice 2-3 years down the line. And that's why we pivoted to this new strategy from January 2026, which is all about having educators come on board. So someone like yourself now would have that course builder. You can build your own course within SymphoMe and launch that course that both your student and any other SymphoMe user, both in the classroom, wherever in the world, can access that, and you are paid for that. And anyone who then want to go beyond your course to even take one-to-one bookings can then also do that within SymphoMe with the resources in there. So that's where we are going. And that's why I said, oh, this is what we've done. And this is what we are finalizing to relaunch again in January. And this is the interesting thing about running a startup, right? There are trade-offs at every point of that journey. And it was just that one for us. We started with piano, and I think we succeeded with that. But it's now, let's have a wider platform that calls in every educator, regardless of the instrument you're teaching. So trust me, I'll be in touch as soon as we have that ready for you.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question. We have Praise Ajayi raising her hand. Praise, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you very much, Miss Ige. Thank you so much. So good to see you. Looking beautiful as always. Mr. Ifeanyi, thank you so much. I really enjoyed your presentation today. SymphoMe, this is the first time I'm hearing of that, and sounds quite interesting. Very interesting. Well done, sir. So I wanted to ask a question regarding how the musicians get paid, but I think you already mentioned that. So I was just wondering, for an AI like this in our own demography here in Nigeria, how will students get access to this AI? Some may not even know how to use it. So I don't know. How can we make that possible? How can we make that, how can we integrate AI with children who don't even have access to devices, not to talk of learning how to use it? So that's my question. Thank you, sir.
That's great. So our goal is that you don't even think about it. If we've done our job right from a product development point of view, you don't even realize that you're leveraging artificial intelligence. We're just creating tools to enable you carry out what you do. So if you've got a device that can connect to the internet, you can already Instagram, do WhatsApp, and every other thing. You should be able to use SymphoMe. That's the end goal. But to achieve that, I was in Nigeria just 2 months ago. To be honest, even the best bandwidth, like Wi-Fi, was not as great as I was expecting it to be. So there are limitations in there, but I still see that as not significant enough to stop anyone from using a tool like SymphoMe. So far, we can record the audio and upload that to the server, which for us on our end is also to consciously host some of our applications on servers closer to home, and that makes it very, very easy. We currently estimate the processing time for SymphoMe to be around 3 to 5 seconds. So even if there is a delay in the early stage, it might be 5 to 8 or 9 seconds maximum, So again, just to wrap up again, we hope you don't even think you're using AI. You are just pressing one button that gives you feedback or that does something, thinking of it from a feature point of view, as opposed to be like, oh, this is AI, come and use it. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Praise, does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Mr. Ifeanyi.
Yeah.
So basically the user interface should be so top notch that it's almost like SymphoMe for dummies. Let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
So that once you get on it, all you have to do is just click a button, nothing too complicated, and voila, we're going on with learning music. Yeah,
absolutely. And just to add to that, a lot of music education product or music education product, I'm careful about what I say there, are not built with the mindset of, oh, how does a non-musical person perceive it? When you are building, education technology is not a new field. We've got something for math, we've got something for English. Duolingo is doing amazing there. There are quite a lot of applications out there. Those things are designed in a way that call you in. Music education, most times designed by educators, it's designed like, oh, this is how it is, let's do it just like that and that. Whereas there are trade-offs in this. For us to have done SymphoMe the way we do it is not to think, oh, from a pedagogy point of view, yes, how will an educator present it? But from a user point of view, how does it look? How does it feel? And I'm going to share my screen quickly to buttress this point. It's an exciting topic, and my job as a product manager is to ensure that we are doing that correctly. I'll just sign in. Let me show you something quickly. SymphoMe.com. So this is the student user interface on the web app. I would go to, let's say, BRSM grade 1, view course, choose initial grade, and then you have something like this. There is a lot going in there. For you to complete some of the exercises, it's going to pass through an AI model, but you will never know. Because you don't need to know, like, it adds no value necessarily, so. But if I'm in a technical conference, yes, I can scream and talk about, oh, how we went about the AI and the tech. But from a user point of view, we just want to have a good music education experience. They just need it to work and look good and feel good, like you're just tapping the right button and it's leading where you think it should lead to. So that's my everyday, to be honest, ensuring that you don't think about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, I think we have a question in the chat. Let me see if we can. Mr. Michael, if you're there, do you want to ask your question, or should I just read it out? Okay, let me just read it out. Mr. Michael asks, how can these tools avoid bias and be trained to understand African music, improvisation, not just Western classical and commercial styles? Fantastic question.
It's a great question that leads to SymphoMe point 2, I like to say. So first of all, we take our ground truth as XML file. So far you can annotate that representation, be it African, be it Indian, whatever it is, you can put it in an XML file that's probably notated via Sibelius or MuseScore or whatever, and we have an XML file output. We can process that. So that's the code we're giving, or that's the raw file we're offering to the model. So for it to then take stylistic reference, that is next level technology, and that's where we're hoping SymphoMe is going to be. We've done the first work, which is then understand the general context of music. But when it comes to style, even within the Western art music, we've got the Baroque, classical, and all that. There is a whole conversation to have around that. And if you remember, I said we benchmark SymphoMe up to grade 4 ABRSM standard. I say that carefully because I'm not promising you'll give it a grade 8 piece and it's just good. It's gonna give you an assessment, but not like wow, to a music scholar to a great extent. And it will go beyond that, speaking more about the style. That is really training an AI model again, building data sets on that style. So I think I'll throw the question or a challenge back to you and everyone on this call. Is like, can we begin to collate some of our works? We talk about African art music. Can we collate that together and annotate that carefully for it to be trained, for AI models to be trained using that? So, it's not just as easy as uploading the files. There are so many processes that goes in.
Of course.
And I think another reason why a lot of that has not been done is the return on investment for tech companies. So if I'm looking at the global market, it's like, oh, if I put 2 or 3 AI engineers focusing on African art music and we carry out that project, how much do we get back in the long term? A lot of Africans willing to pay. I mean, we are music scholars, so we might pay, but is the general audience, like, is a significant number enough willing to pay for tools like this? So I think that's where research institutions like the Organhouse, Mountaintop University can also like begin to carry out R&D project in that line. And in the UK, we've got the likes of Queen Mary University. Can we facilitate collaborations between both institutions that we can then have models that is not just Eurocentric, but also inclusive of Africa, So there is a lot we can talk about that, but I think that's more for a research institution like the university to carry out as opposed to a commercial company like us. Because my thing, I also have to speak with my investors, and in every meeting, it's like, what we are doing today, is it clear how we're going to get our money back from that? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that answer. Mr. Michael, I hope that Mr. Ifeanyichukwu has answered your question. Yes, in the organ house, we're actually delving into doing a lot of codifying of our African art music, because the truth is we need to train AI to know our language, who we are, how we sound, and there's a lot of back-end work that goes on in that. So I was going to ask actually, because when you showed us the layout of the teachers segment, I saw a lot of names. I saw Bella Batok, I saw some of those names, and of course, as usual, I didn't see any African names. And I understand that this is probably one of the reasons why, because we haven't, how do I put it, we haven't done a lot of work to make sure that our music is out there on AI, and AI recognizes it as ours, so we're working towards that. That's one of the things that the organ house is working towards seriously. We have a lot of projects that we're doing to make sure that our songs, our music, Nigerian art music, is recognized by AI as ours, so that it can now be accessible to everyone else all around the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. I don't know if we have any more questions. Okay, we also have sorry, go on, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, just a challenge to everyone is to also check for every work you've recorded. Can you check with your publishing house if they are licensing that to AI companies? We've got the likes of Universal and Sony Music Publishing just signed a deal last week and this week with Audio Suno. It's been a lawsuit for over a year now, but they finally come on board to like, oh, you know what, we're gonna publish. We're gonna let you use some of our published work. My thing there is, can we all as artists go check, oh, is our work represented in there? Have we given permission for that? And if you want to take it a step further and you are inclusive of AI training on your work, look for organizations that are all about AI data sets, and they're going to pay you to actually use it. And every point your music is being used, you'll receive something for that. There are two schools of thought. There are people who are purists who are like, I don't want my work to be fed into AI. And those are that. And there are others who are a lot more inclusive, like, oh, use my AI fairly and pay me at every point to use that. Yeah. So there are a lot of companies out there who are specially focused on just building data sets from around the world. So please, if you're an artist, music publisher, composer, whatever you do that has generated an artwork, look out to how you can commercialize some of that. Which, I mean, I say commercialize, but you're also benefiting the ecosystem, because somebody someday is going to be like, oh, I want something in style of, I don't know, Ira Star or something, I don't know. Yeah, or something in style of Ira Star or Ayo Bankole, and they will get something like that. Because right now, I can say confidently, if I go and say something in style of Ayo Bankole, is certainly not going to give me anything in style of Ayo Bankole. Do you get what I mean? So, but that is not something for a company like SymphoMe to do. Is now, oh, is Ayo Bankole publishing that in a way that can be accessible, and many other companies. So please go out there and check. There is a lot out there for you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyi. We have another question. Oh, let me read this comment from Mr. Olawale Oshewa. He says, this is awesome. I just browsed through the app and I must commend your efforts. Keep up the amazing work. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic comments there. Then Mr. Michael says, Can SymphoMe teach group performance and real-life musical interaction? Will it be optimized for ensemble playing in the future?
I hope it isn't. And I'll tell you why. Once you are there with other musicians, we want to believe you're focused on the art of creating, with musicians present as opposed to an AI can listen. We can actually do something to annotate, to take notes during the rehearsal. There are tools that can complement that, but that art of music making, we want to leave it to humans to do that. Can it be used for group performance? Let me just read that question again. Let me just check. Okay, can it be used to teach group performance? There are tools that can be used. Let's say we launched the partnership with Universal Music, right? And you load up Tiwa Savage song. I don't know. We'll just load up a song that you want to use, and that you can then go source separation. I just want to focus on the piano, or I want to split the voice into different parts, and everybody can hear exactly what is going on in that voice. Yes, it will be able to do that. And now it's a tool to augment that experience as opposed to it driving the learning outcome in that group performance. So that's why we're saying this new strategy is about calling educators and calling musicians in. So we want you to take ownership of that stuff. And you don't even notice the AI. We are using SymphoMe as a tool to enhance the learning experience in there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyi.
You're welcome.
This is brilliant stuff. I don't know if anyone else has any questions, any comments. Let's think about how SymphoMe can affect us or enhance our teaching and learning real time. Any questions? So while we're at it, I would like to still remind us that all our conversations are curated beautifully well for us on our YouTube platform and all our social media platforms, but especially on our YouTube platform. So the thing is, this conversation that we're having now is going to be put on our YouTube channel so that you can rewatch it and learn, again and again. And then please interact with us. Go to the YouTube channel, go to all our social media platforms and interact with us. Let me see if we have another question. Mr. Ezekiel Adedoyin says, this is highly commendable of Mr. Ifeanyi. It's good to see this young, remarkable Nigerian is doing something remarkable.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ezekiel.
Fantastic. Well, really, let me just tease a bit. I hope you still consider yourself as a Nigerian. Anyway, with a name like Ifeanyichukwu, Ezinmadu, there's no how you can run away from from where you are from. But
absolutely,
we're happy. We're lending you to the world, and you're doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the future still sits across Africa. Not just for music tech. And I know this will not be my only venture. I mean, I'm 28 now, so I'm like, SymphoMe is the first, I still have a long way to go in terms of what I want to do in the creative space, but maybe even more on the business, enabling us to not just make art, but actually commercialize our art on global stage, So there is a lot more. So if you've got ideas, there are things you're thinking about around music tech and music business, I'm more than happy to have conversation within the scope and beyond the scope of SymphoMe, not just for now, but even for the future. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I was going to ask your experiences actually birthed SymphoMe, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what were those challenges that you faced? Because I'm sure that there are young people, exactly. There are people on this call, and there are young people who would eventually watch, this conversation, and would say, this is exactly what I want to do. This is what I want to do. What are the things you would advise them to do first? What were the challenges generally that you faced?
I think capital is a big one. And I'll
Definitely.
take it from now, going back. In the UK alone, about 0.2% Africans raised venture capital last year. 0.2. That is significantly low. If you're then an African woman, that number even goes
Drops.
0.0 something, you
Yeah.
know. That says a lot. Like, it could be a trust thing. Maybe people don't trust us enough to give us money to do stuff, So I think it's also, you can have great ideas, but also being in the right environment could catalyze that, So what I am grateful for was that my MasterCard scholarship kind of gave me a moment to think and just be the best version I can be. I was not thinking of my tuition. I was not thinking of, like, everything was primarily covered, which I believe there are quite a number of scholarships all around in there. So the only thing I could do then was to be the best version of me. Taking a step back to Nigeria now, when I got into Musan, I don't have money. I don't come from money, The only thing I could do then was to take in as much, like absorb as much knowledge from everyone around me. And it's not so long ago. Musan was 2015, so less than 10 years ago, And I was at grade 5 when I came into Musan for the diploma program. So I was grade 5 level 10 years ago. So it's really a short span of time. But within my first year, I went on to do my grade 7, did my grade 8, got the highest scorer in Nigeria for grade 8 piano. It's I'm just saying, maximizing every opportunity. Let's take a step back from Musan again. It was me in Ipajayobo. I mean, if you're familiar with Nigeria, you know where that is, There was no role model per se, and I say that carefully, but also it's the honest fact, I was not coming from money, but I had this choir master who got a scholarship abroad. He's also just as poor as we were. And I was like, wait a minute, this person, he got a first class in OAU, then got a scholarship abroad. And for the first time, I saw it possible for somebody to go from 0 to 1. I was like, I can do this also, So I was still in secondary school when all of that happened, and that shaped the course of my life, And I was just like, if this man can do it, I can also do it. So I never picked up a JAMB form, not because Nigerian universities are not great, no. I think I had this mental picture of Mr. Chinedu. I was like, if Mr. Chinedu can go from Ayobo to wherever he is right now, I was like, there is no way I'm also getting a full scholarship. And I did it. It did not come immediately, I did it. But along that journey is also to be able to stand the test of time. I think a lot of us are very impatient and we are greedy in a way. Again, I don't have money, but if it was about the money, I would not be building SymphoMe. I had a job offer from the #1 investment firm in the world, BlackRock. So it was not about money. It was a thing of purpose, which is very contrary for me to say. You don't have money and you're not thinking about money, But it's a thing of purpose, which I also took another role model, Marion Akpata at Muson, who I met, who I studied under. I was like, that is someone who lived a life of purpose, So for me, it's also that why. Why am I doing what I do? Money is great and all, but that's not the motivation. Finding role models at different stages of my life and absorb that as much as possible and maximizing every opportunity. Every single opportunity. And I feel that so many things, in as much as I'm talking about my successes, there are multiple times where we could have just closed SymphoMe because we did not have the money to do so. Hiring in the UK is expensive. We've spent significant amount of money to get to where we are today, but we're still pushing through. And just to wrap up is to be accountable, I said earlier, people don't trust us with money, to be accountable. So for every penny that leaves SymphoMe, I am being checked. Even if I'm the founder and the CEO, from day one, I brought in an accountant. It cost us money, but I'm like, keep me in check. Ask me questions. If one penny is flying around and you don't understand it, query me. You know what? So, and that just meant when we ran out of money, none of our investors could point a finger at me because you don't need to talk to me. Just speak with the accountant and get the breakdown of anything. And if you ask for reports, it's just one click of a button. I'm going to download the latest report for you. Go run through the numbers. You can't say I've taken your money for anything. So it's also like there was a moment where SymphoMe had money that I've never imagined I would ever have in my life, or even dreamed like I would ever see in our bank account. It was on my phone. It was on my device. I was seeing that. Do you get what I mean? But not for once could I be like, oh, that is my money now, and I remember one investor being like, I would like give you this amount of money. Like you could just go to Nigeria, you know. And I don't blame them, but I am glad I did not go on collecting their money because that was not the right starting. And if you don't trust me enough to do so. So I'm like, maximize every opportunity, but also don't just be greedy. Just do your best in everything. And then doors will open. Everything I do in SymphoMe is because some people have have helped me do it and God's grace. So please just believe in yourself, maximize every opportunity at every stage of learning, take the best you can out of it. And if I could have done this in 10 years, looking from Musa until now, then I mean, you all can also do the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyi. Okay, so we have Mr. Gani Kale's hand raised. Mr. Gani Kale, please, could you unmute your microphone and ask your question?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Can.
Yes, this is great. Yeah. I wasn't able to join the conversation until about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But I think I've had enough to be able to make this contribution. There is, how would I put it now? Okay, I would just like to reflect first on the introduction of the tools into our institutional spaces. From what I've been hearing from you, I understand that you studied at Moson, and that means your background is Western music as taught in Africa.
Yes.
And you came up with this idea, and I think from your background and your orientation, I think it is absolutely fantastic, right? Having said that, I would like to look at it in relation to the ongoing conversation on indigenizing Nigerian and African music studies, right?
Yeah.
My concern is not with the use of technology itself, but it is with the epistemic assumption that that often travel quietly outside this celebrated digital innovation. By the way, I am also into digital innovation, but I am thinking in terms of African epistemology purely, I can see, because when I came up and I saw the symbol, I went online quickly and I got a lot of information about what you have done. That is how I got to know that you've done a brilliantly fantastic job, and I must congratulate you for that. Okay. Now, having said all that, well, I've seen that I can imagine all sorts of algorithm that has gone into what has come up now. It's not an easy job. So anyone that can do that, within the space of the 10 years I heard you said, right?
Yeah.
Is a genius. And so anyway, let me come back to exactly what I think. This is not to discourage, and this is to kind of encourage epistemology, encourage us to think outside the box for a minute, you see, the system that I have seen so far is built on the grammars and ontologies of Western art music. Take it or leave it. Right. So its representational model rely on tonal hierarchies, on harmonic logic, orchestra timbres, and notation practices that emerged from a specific European intellectual tradition.
Yes.
Great. Now, when an AI tool is constrained around those parameters, I think it can only think musically within those boundaries. It is not a neutral limitation. It becomes a filter that reshapes whatever passes through it.
Yeah.
You still agree with me? Great,
Yeah.
thank you. Now, let's come back home to Africa. Our logic does not sit comfortably inside that frame, right?
Yeah.
Let's take the Yoruba Dodon drumming, for example, which I have worked very much on. It is inseparable from tonal language, from performative speech, and the flexible sense of metric organization.
Yeah.
Same is true of many Western African systems where rhythm, embodiment, and linguistic structure form a single semantic field. I think it's Willie Uncle. Yeah, the structural work of Willie Uncle, the structural stress analysis. It says African music cognition follows rotational and transformational principles that do not align with metrical grids. I think it's his 2000 book. You know, as Kofi Agawu also has argued that when African music is interpreted primarily through Western theoretical categories, the knowledge becomes distorted by the framework used to capture it, right? So if we import AI systems that have no capacity to encode African musical reasoning, we risk reinforcing the very hierarchy we are trying to dismantle. Now, just look at me as talking from the perspective of indigenization, right? Now, the tool becomes a new set of prestige, and our academic culture begins to value what the tool can model rather than what our indigenous system can teach. So, in that sense, these technologies can inadvertently deepen the marginalization of African epistemology, even while appearing to modernize our practice. So my argument is not that we reject technology. No, because I am into it myself, right? The real task before us, before you and me, if we have to think outside the box, the real task before us is to develop or adapt computational tools that are grounded in African musical understanding rather than bending African expression to fit Euro-American templates. And until such system exists, the enthusiastic uptake of tools like SymphoMe should be handled with deeper critical attention. This is why I'm taking my time to say all I'm saying now,
Absolutely.
So the ongoing conversation that we have on decolonization is therefore, it's not merely about adding content or inserting African material into existing structure. It is about the intellectual sovereignty to shape the tools, the theories, as well as the pedagogies, through which our cultures are studied and performed. So digital term will remain asymmetrical until we take that challenge seriously. I would like you and I to meet, and I would like to present to you what I am doing.
Absolutely.
If you understand what I am doing, I am sure, and then we can now think, where does SymphoMe come into this? How do we change the face of SymphoMe? How do we, what's the word now? How do we Africanize it? How do we make sure that it is not another tool of westernization of our African essence?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I get everything you've said from a musical point of view and from a music scholar point of view. But in my role as the CEO, which is raising money, raising capital for us to build music education too, right? My lead investors are Europeans, right? To a great extent. And the bigger question for a lot of investors is like, if I pull money today, let's say 5, 6, 7, 10 years down, can I get my money and probably 5x that and all that? And to do that, the most logical thing for a lot of startups like us is to look at markets that are already paying for solutions like this today, taking a significant market share from that. Then we can do more R&D work that would unlock emerging markets, which is not the best thing to say. So from a musical point of view, I absolutely get that. I would love to do a lot across Africa. We actually get an inbound request from India also, like, oh, can we do something that is a lot more tailored to that ecosystem, which we would love to, but it's also like, is there a significant market share for us to dive into that today? And I say so because as a startup, we're a small team running on limited funds. Whereas we've got a big organization from ABRSM has been around in Nigeria for quite a while. There are quite a lot of other organizations that have done something in there, but have not really supported research and development in that phase. So my contribution back, not just to Nigeria, but to the African music ecosystem is like, can we lead research and development? However, today, SymphoMe is not in a position to do that, both for Nigeria, Africa, and even India, which those are markets. And interestingly, I said we went to China just a month ago. We were asked to localize everything into Chinese, but it still did not feel authentic enough. And, I had to make that call, like, do we want to keep doing that? And we've made that trip, we're already there, but do we want to double down on China right now or focus on what we are doing really well, which is the Western arts music? And my final decision there was like, let's double down on what we're doing. And when we have more resources and here is money, the team, we can then do a lot more. What I am in fact doing today is to not inspire, I mean, anybody can get inspired, but to challenge everyone on this call, the same way you've challenged me, right? That are we consciously putting our research forward on the global stage? We've got a music information retrieval conference that happens every year. This year it was in Korea, I believe. And that's where leading researchers in this field meet together to like talk about research in this domain. Everybody reads papers from ISMER, that's the conference name, every year, just to know what's the state of the art. But rarely have I come across any paper from Nigeria, or well, I think a bit from South Africa looking into music technology. So I think it's for us also to position our work where I can then go back to my investors and be like, oh, there is something in this market. Researchers are already looking into this. This is the future. Like, let's put money into this. So I can speak as a musician, but also the other side to it is for me to be frank and honest as a businessman. Like, is it going to return investment for us as an enterprise, Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for that robust response as well. So basically, that kind of explain what I have been saying. Capitalism, one, because of course, some people are financing this project and they've got to have their investment return. So that is there. So being the brain behind this, you have to make sure that you satisfy your financial, which is good. But you also agree with me that even Nigeria alone, look at the population, our population, there is a great potential for this market as well. And not just Nigeria, even in America, in other parts of the world where our culture is also being recognized and where our kind of music is being used and appropriated. This, if we if we use a reverse thinking that I'm talking about, in terms of capital, we can take over it. We can take over this finance. We can, we can take over the profit that is coming from this. But we need to come together to think together, to reason together.
Exactly.
I am very passionate with the, anything that is against westernization. I am very passionate for it. You understand?
It comes across really well.
Yes. You see, so this
Yeah.
what you are doing is really not bad, but it is Western.
Yes, it
Because
is.
I can tell you now, if we sample the talking drum, which I have done before, sample some local percussion talking drum into this system, put it there, it will cease. The moment you begin to apply it, it will become singing drum because they think tonally, they think like singing. They don't think like, they don't understand the microtonal control of our the semiotics of our language.
Yeah.
You understand? They don't get it, and they will never get it. And that is something that has been suppressed, that never come up. And we've got to find a way to break this loop without getting fetish.
Yeah,
You understand?
absolutely. I am speaking with quite a number of Africans, particularly Nigerians, who are not just investing in Africa, but also supporting Africa founders. So I think I need that to be represented on my cap table, the capitalization table. And then when I'm bringing that forward to the board, it makes sense, if you get what I mean. Because there is also that card of, yes, because you're African, yes, you want to build for Africa. That is one person on the team saying that does not move the mountain.
Of
So
course, of
I'm
course.
bringing representation in there, but to be honest, I've also tried to raise money from African investors, and that has been significantly, even to an extent, more difficult than even the Western one. So there is a play to that, which is some of the moves are strategic move. I'm playing a chess game here. It's more about the long term. Can we stand the test of time long enough to be able to stand on our own someday and then do more? And that's why I say, I mean, again, I'm 28. This is still very early. I'm still going to be around for such a long time. So even if it's not with SymphoMe, there are so many other projects I will do. My final base is still going to be Nigeria, and that's where I hope to be, probably by my mid-30s, fully based on Nigeria. So but I need to do this one right to be able to then have a proof of concept and a track record to be like, this person can deliver on project. We can trust this person with capital to deploy into this space. Can we bring Sony music? Can we bring Universal music? At the highest level there is, I'm already operating with them in the capacity of SymphoMe, but this relationship will go further down the line. So that's the end goal. And honestly, it's something I'm passionate about. Right now, it's just in the best interest of SymphoMe, I do what I need to do. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Before we even go that far, just quickly, can I ask you to look into the work of George Lewis, The Voyager?
Okay, I will.
Then, when you do that, I will really appreciate for you and I to come together and talk, because
Exactly.
yeah, so that I can show you what is happening, because I have a device that I have created now that is called Iron.
Okay.
In fact,
So I can do a presentation with you and for you to show you, and then we can take it from there. I think that
Yeah,
is the only way this can go forward. Anyway,
absolutely.
for what you've done so far.
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Mr. Ganikale, there's no dull moment. There's never a dull moment with you. Anytime you come on, it's always interesting. And sincerely, I think we need to reach out to you, for you to come and present something for us in the Organ House Concert and Seminar Series. We would really love to hear your voice, see how you think, and present, because I know you. Yes, I am looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Mr. Ganikale. Thank you. Mr. Ifeanyichukwu, amazing answer. I mean, I enjoyed the banter between you and Mr. Ganikale. I was expecting it, sincerely. And this just reminds me of the SOMEN conference that some of us in the Organ House went to. We presented a roundtable, and it was on AI. And basically the conclusion was that we as Nigerians, if we really want our voices to be heard on the AI platform, we need to come together to synergize. Our musicians, our music scholars, our cultural producers, our tech people, because we have a lot of fantastic tech people. We need to come together to synergize, to make sure that if we don't feed AI, we will still keep complaining that it is a Western tool, which it is, but it's a tool which we need to retrain for our palate. So thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu. And we have just like 3 minutes left, and we're going to take Dr. Oladele Ayorinde's comments or question, and then we will round off after that.
Ms. Modupe Kachi, can I seek your indulgence? I cannot raise my hand because I'm on the wheels, just going to work. Can I see you just speak before Dr. Ayorinde, our chief host, if that is possible? Let me know.
Yes, sir. Yes, Prof. Yes, you can, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ayorinde, for allowing me. Mine is not much, but just to say that I think it's one of anyway, I think every season, every session at organhouseseminarseries is always the best. I really enjoyed our speaker today, Brother Ifeanyichukwu, because that is an area that I always give rapt attention. As my guy will say, when it comes to technology, I'm an idiot there. But that's where he will tell you that. When it comes to this area, I don't want to voice my voice. I just want to keep quiet and listen. He has really helped me open my eyes more. With Kola Garikale, my artist scholar brother and friend, coming up now, I just want to add my voice to what our lady host said. It is high time for us to start getting involved, collaborating with each other, collaborating with one another, with trust. Our speaker talks of trust. I will also encourage and plead with the speaker, get in touch with Kola Garikale. I know a lot about him. We know a lot about each other. That's why I'm a lot. And I think we can now move a step further in actualizing our dreams of decolonization, indigenization, and getting out of that web of being Eurocentric all the time. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Sir. Thank you so much for that comment. Dr. Ayorinde, please, you have the floor.
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's quite exciting and so refreshing today, as mentioned earlier. Okay, it's not so much of a question. To start with, I want to thank my brother, Mr. Ifeanyi, for this wonderful presentation, of course, then also for the courage to do what you are doing, because as we all know, this is not common. Of course, many of us, what we know is study piano, then start doing the piano thing. You do PP, you teach, and that's all. But here is, it's an idea that is taking all of us out, or inviting us out of our box, to do something different, and to even take it further into the future. The tech realm is quite significant. So thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyi. I know this is definitely going to be a beginning for something great between you, the organ house, and the project we do. Yeah, this is quite fascinating for me, and I'm challenged also. So thank you so much. Yeah. On the other hand, I had Elder Gani Kale, so deeply. Of course, I know him very well. He's a good mentor, brother, and everything. And one of this, our big voice, in quote, big, on this platform. So the question for me, and particularly from the angle of Mr. Ifeanyi, the reality here is that there's difference between entrepreneurial spirit and scholarly spirit. Entrepreneurs are business people. They mediate in a different way compared to scholars. Scholars are not necessarily business people. Yeah. But there are scholars who are also entrepreneurial in their approaches. So now what we are having today is perhaps a build-up on two important conversations we've had on this platform. The first one is the conversation with Mr. Titus, who opened the floor and told us that, look, he's a musician. He started as a musician from Muson also. And he went ahead around the cycle, and now he's I think, computer engineer somewhere, working with big record label, all that, So then we went on to Mr. Dideji, who is also a big and significant, record label, and, is into this global distribution, intellectual property discourse, So then here we open another chapter, which is tech now. So the question is this new? Yes and no. But that's not the concern. The concern is the future. These three presentations, I can say, they are showing us the next 15, 20, 30 years of our field. Very soon, not very soon, even now, those who went to school to study piano performance, the traditional way, we all know that they are not so relevant anymore in society. Yeah. So they become vocal and visible when they have here and there, they have niches here for, or technology, STEM, here and there. That's when they start, they start becoming visible. So the question is, from what Mr. Ifeanyi has taught us or exposed us to or shared with us today, I think it's a challenge going back to the music education curriculum thing and the way we practice. So I don't know, either we like it or not, we are already in the future. And the works of somebody like Mr. Ifeanyi is showing us what the future looks like. He said, of course, he's young. Look, my brother, I agree with you, but I can say what you have done is so big. Is big, and I hope Nigerian youth will take up the challenge. Yeah. So we need more people like you to scatter the bus. Yeah. To scatter the table, So now, quickly, organically, I want to remind you that research is good, but the question which Mr. Ifeanyi touched upon is that the funding problem in Africa. Look at our institutions in Nigeria alone. Do you know the challenges around funding they are going through? The reality is that music funding in Africa is dead, particularly in a place like Nigeria. South Africa is better. Other Southern African societies are better. But in Nigeria, it's not even recognized. So who is funding it? Of course, we know where the fund, we know those who are doing the work, of course, in Nigerian context. But the reality I'm pointing at is that, Mr. Gani, we need to sit around the table and discuss again what it means, or how we are going to challenge the coloniality in Nigeria. There is no money without research, sir. There's no funding for serious research we're talking about in Nigeria right now. There is money in Nigeria. People should understand that. But music is not one of the priority. We know, you know what I mean. Look at the curriculum. Look at the public universities. Yeah, look at it. So the point is, what Ifeanyi is doing, we need more in Nigeria. For now, I don't think people really care if it's African music or music. Or it's Western music. People care about that value, wherever it's coming from. You have many pianists. How many times have you seen African music concerts here and there? What is the economic value compared to Western music value? We need to think critically about that. So when Ifeanyi said the investors, I understand clearly, because every day I write grant document bodies. Look, it's about value, and people want to put their money in things that they want to see 20, 30 years. So if somebody brings a grant to me and they want to document Bata, of course, I love Bata, it's my culture, I love it. But the question is that I am going to wear the cap of a businessman, look into what they call economic history of that document or material. So, Mr. Gani, I'm looking forward to your work also. Yeah, and to come and give us that model. But for right now, what Ifeanyi is doing, I think we should encourage more people to start doing it. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you, but I think one thing I try not to talk about was the government part of it. I was careful not to talk about that, but it's something you've already mentioned. So let's be honest, right? The UK government a couple of years ago committed £200 million to advancing AI technology in the country in different sectors, particularly for research and developing new AI leaders. And for music in particular, music AI research, 6.5 million was committed to that. That's around 12 or 13 billion naira just for music AI research. And the idea is bring smart people from master's level. We're going to fund their PhD, spend 4 years or 3 years just studying and imagine whatever is possible in AI technology for music. And that has catapulted the UK, like positioning it as one of the leading research center for AI. Do you get what I'm talking about? So capital also drives some of this innovation. I was not part of that funding, right? But I've benefited from the output of that. Some of the models we started with came from the output of some researchers in that stuff. So it kind of comes down to us in a way. And even some of the leading AI researchers around the world, many of them finished from Queen Mary University as part of this government scheme that did not just open the door for UK citizens, but also Europeans and anyone, anywhere, if you met the criteria. So the brightest of brightest come and study and we'll cover it all. So that is the academic side to it, which industry partners like us are leveraging and even taking talent from there to come and expand on what we are doing. So the same thing, if we have more research funding, I believe researchers like yourself and everyone here could even do more because money drives quite a lot. We can talk about stuff, but money speeds things up. You could build your data sets over a course of 5 years, whereas somebody else will do it in 3 months just because of the sheer amount of capital. And the world is no longer waiting for 5 years. It's almost every week you see something new in the AI space. So who is the fastest to build? And the fastest means who's got money to build. Do you get what I mean? I also feel like, we could have done 10 times more in SymphoMe than where we are at right now. But capital is a big part of that, which I would love to say passion and all that really does work, but it doesn't. And I've learned that the hard way. One is one thing to be passionate. The other side is to be practical. To get the best talent on board, you're going to pay a whole lot of money because SymphoMe is competing for talent with Apple Music. We're competing for talent with Universal Music AI research team. So to bring anybody on board is not a conversation of, are you passionate about music? Yes, they are, but they also have to pay the bills, and they know there are a lot of companies out there wanting to pay them more. So that also brings the question of what we are doing and why we are doing what we do. Just to justify, if I'm paying somebody a significant amount of money that's probably Apple or Google or whichever company could pay them, then I better make them do what will give us money as soon as possible. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu.
Yeah,
thank you, everyone who has contributed to this very interesting, boisterous, enlightening conversation. Mr. Ifeanyi, I hope you can you've sent your Instagram handle and your email address, so that I'm sure that we would want to continue this conversation with you individually, especially Mr. Ganikale, and for all of us. So thank you for sharing your information. Our viewers, thank you for your patience. Our time has really gone far but it was an interesting conversation. So I'm sure you all enjoyed yourself. One more time, I'd like to remind you to please interact with us on all our social media handles, our YouTube channel, is there. We have curated all kinds of conversations for you, especially this one is going to go up on our YouTube channel shortly. So please engage with us on our social media platforms and this YouTube channel. And also, I would like to remind you that the first Thursday of every month, which is for next month, is going to be on the 4th of December. We are dedicating the first Thursday of every month to our reading series, which of course we all know that we are working, or we are reading or engaging with Professor Kofi Agawu's book, Representing African Music. Next week, we are going to be discussing the first chapter. So I am going to send where you can get the first chapter of that book. So would like you to please read it and then come prepared the first week of, or first Thursday of December to engage critically on that chapter. We talked about the introductory chapter, the introduction last month. This month, the first week of this month, and it was very interesting. So please prepare yourself and watch out for all our information on our social media platforms. We're going to keep giving you information on that. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu Ezinmadu. Thank you for the good work that you are doing with SymphoMe. We learned a lot today. We are looking forward to hearing more from you and great things that you are doing. Like you said, you're young and you still have a lot of years, ahead of you. And we're really looking forward to engaging with you with the beautiful things that you will create, not just for the whole world, but also for us in Africa and Nigeria.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all those who have asked questions. Mr. Gani Kale, Praise, Prof, Dr. Ayorinde. Thank you all so much for Dr. Michael. Thank you for engaging with us. So we will be seeing you next week. My name remains Modupe Ige Kachi. Thank you for engaging with us today. God bless you and bye.